Please, let's take our seats. All right, welcome to this evening's meeting. We're going to have our invocation from Chief Apostle Antonio Cummings, Kingdom of Life Center in Fayetteville, be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would, please stand with me.
Good evening, Commissioner, Chairman. Let us pray. Father, we thank you tonight, God, for this gathering together at our Board of Commissioners meeting here in this wonderful county of Clayton. God, we thank you that you are the sovereign Lord and God, and you alone are worthy of all the praise, and all the glory is due your name. Now, God, while we meet here tonight, we thank you for those that are involved with the decision-making for our county. God, we pray now that we use and exercise wisdom that comes from you, that all of our opinions will be set aside, that we can come together collectively and out of all of the diversity, the chaos, and the things that are happening in our nation, globally, everyone that's impacted by what's happening, God, let us focus on what needs to be handled here in our county. God, everyone is important, every I dotted, every T crossed, that you may be glorified. Father, we decrease as you increase in this place tonight, that you may be glorified. Now, God, bless everyone that is here, bless our families, bless the extension of our law enforcement, and all those involved with the success and the moving forward and the progress of our wonderful county here in Clayton. We thank you and we bless you tonight. And it is so in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening and welcome to the March 17th Board of Commissioners regular business meeting. Our first order of business is adoption of the agenda. Do any members have any amendments?
Yes, Madam Clerk, I'm going to ask that we remove item 4, which is proclamations and presentations 1 through 4. Remove that from the agenda for this evening. Is there a second on it?
Second.
Properly moved and second. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. I'm also going to ask that we hold board appointments, which is items B through E, until the next meeting. Is there a second on that?
Second, Mr. Chair.
Properly moved and second. Those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Are there any others? Hearing none.
Mr. Chair, you need to add.
Yes. There's an emergency item somewhere. You jumped. Emergency, I guess this is resolution number 2020-54, correct?
That's correct.
This is a emergency item I asked to be added. It addresses pay for part-time employees, those active part-time employees, while this is a declared state county of emergency of the county, that their pay be assessed along with our continuity of government plan. Is there a second? That's a motion. Is there a second?
Does this mean that they will be
Yes.
getting paid? Okay.
Yes.
A second.
But this is to add it to the agenda.
To the consent agenda. I made the motion, Commissioner Hambrick, second the motion. Any questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
I had a question. Just could you clarify the 14 days since we're just getting this? I just want to make sure we're
The
understanding.
decorations for 14 days, the county government offices are closed for 14 days, so it's something out of their control. So within those 2 weeks, then they will be paid, those active part-time employees.
Okay. Just if we could check this one, because it does state they're required to work during emergencies lasting longer than 14 days.
Well, after 14 days, we either have to declare another
Okay,
emergency.
that's what I was asking, because I haven't had a
yes.
chance to read all of it.
Yes, we have to redo it.
I noticed you said active. Is there a difference?
Yeah, so if somebody has not worked as a part-time job in the last month or so,
Oh, okay.
now because they're off and they want to get paid, we're not going to, of
Okay.
course, they can't sign up at the last second and say, hey, I need my pay. Well, we already took a motion on it.
Yes, sir.
I'll entertain any other questions in
No.
reference to it. All right. The motion passes for it to be added to the consent agenda. All right. If there's no other, I'll ask for a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Properly moved and second. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Next, the board will hear public comments. Citizens will be given 3 minutes maximum time limit to speak before the Board of Commissioners. Please state your name and county residency for the record. Speak clearly into the microphone, and speakers should be courteous, respectful, and not make any disparagatory remarks or use abusive language when addressing the board.
Mr. Alvin Farmer.
Give this to Commissioner Warner, please.
Thank you,
I
Mr.
found only
Farmer.
4 correct English events that you did in that paper, and I marked them. All the rest of them, red underlined, are wrong in my evaluation. Mr. Farmer, proactive community activist, unincorporated Clayton County. I stopped by the bus stop at the Aquatic Center prior to coming here today. That bus stop is still there, putting our people in harm's way. I don't know why this is taking so long to do. 22 October, I got an email saying something going to happen. The last time the commissioners, the CEO Marta and his people came, they said something's going to happen, and still I see no progress. Your lawyer sent me a letter stating that I'm harassing people going to specifically the fire station, and I didn't understand that. He spoke to me prior to this meeting. I still don't understand it. He asked me what need to be done, so I come up with a fix to the problem. Your lawyer, yourself, myself, the fire chief, and whoever else you deem necessary should come and get a meeting, and let's walk through, and I'll show you that, because evidently their qualifications are not as good as my qualifications. That is a safety issue also. All these safety issues are going around here. I inform y'all do not speak what is considered to be layman terms. That means a language that people not in your occupation does not think. So I came up with actually I was doing that prior to that. RFP, I don't know what that means. So I put down room for people. Is that what RFP means? LLC means liquor last call. Is that what I mean? And I was going to put some more down. I didn't know that this public comment was going to go too fast. Y'all can fix these problems. These are simple fixes. We give y'all our money, and then y'all don't fix safety things nor simple things. We was talking prior to this meeting, and I informed you before that outside of here, first of all, you have no recycling bins that I seen. The second thing is y'all are using wood chips. This is a termite area. You shouldn't have wood. You either should have mulch that'll come from tires, or you should have stone. I recommend mulch because they come from tires instead of stone, because I think the stones would be more expensive. We gave y'all the power and authority, and y'all have our money. Y'all are talking about do this census thing, but y'all are not using our money that you're going to get from the census, our taxes, or nothing else. It's not smart. In the Air Force, we call it smart. And I don't know why y'all are doing it. It's to put our kids in harm's way. I almost got hit by a Cadillac SUV coming out of the Aquatic Center. There's only one way in and one way out. You have no choice to come there. The simple fix is move the bus stop around the corner. You don't come to my house and tell me what to do. We appointed you this house. You should have told Marta a long time. This thing been going on over a year, and still it has not been moved. I don't get it. I come from a service where.
Thank you, sir. Your time is up, and just take heed to the letter that you received. We welcome you to our facilities because it's your facilities, but you can only go where the general public goes. Anytime you go on beyond where the general public goes, you're disrupting the workplace, and that's something we just can't tolerate. So please take
So
heed.
what is the
If you're not absolutely clear as to the contents of the letter, then again, consult our attorney or go assault an outside attorney.
I spoke to him. I still didn't get a clarification.
Okay, well, speak to outside attorney. Maybe he can break it down a little better. But thank you, sir.
So then we're not going to have the meeting with you, the fire chief?
No, sir. There's
Okay.
no need. Madam Clerk, that concludes public comment.
The board will now consider the consent items 1 through 30.
All right, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions on any of the items? Hearing none. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
The next item are public hearing items. Citizens may speak for or against an item that is considered by law to be a zoning decision. The each side will be given 10 minutes to present its case. In the event there's more than one speaker per side, speakers must divide their time in order to complete their full presentation within the 10-minute time allotment. When the time runs out, speakers are expected to immediately cease speaking. Applicants and citizens speaking in favor of an item should speak first. Applicants in zoning ordinance cases shall have the right to reserve time for rebuttal. Opponents of a zoning decision shall have no right of rebuttal. When speaking, speak directly into the microphone and begin by stating your name, address, and name of any organization you represent. Abusive, profane, or derogatory language will not be permitted. Holding signs, clapping, or yelling to show support will not be permitted, but a show of hands or quietly standing will be permitted. The first item is F, which
Madam
is-
Clerk, before we proceed on, let me get you just hold that thought for just a second, and you won't have to reread it, so everybody remember what you just read. But we do need to address item A after the consent agenda, which is the discussion on the closing protocol due to the coronavirus. At this time, I'd like to ask Chief Perkison to come forward and give us a brief update on what has been done and any other information you can provide us.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board, for allowing me to come forward this evening and give you a brief update of where we stand currently in our operations and kind of let you know what we've done to date and kind of how information will be disseminated moving forward. On your podiums, I left you this evening a new piece of collateral that went out today. This piece of collateral, we printed 2,000 of them and handed them out in our businesses and in our retail stores, basically everything 5,000 square feet and up. So where we still have large gatherings of citizens getting together for groceries and the like, we got that information out. Let me start just by saying one thing, which is how much I appreciate the men and women in Clayton County's public safety offices and my staff at emergency management, specifically Dr. Reddy. She has worked tirelessly to help us formulate these pieces of information that's gone out, and a lot of the protocols and stuff that we are pushing out now that's got us where we are is a direct result of her being here and working in conjunction with our 911 centers, our police department, sheriff's office, and of course fire, EMS, and EMA. So thank you, Doc, for your assistance here. This process and our response started on March the 10th with an internal departmental stakeholder meeting as well as an external stakeholder meeting. The chairman started convening groups of employees to discuss what our response needed to be in response to the spread of the coronavirus. Those meetings have continued since then and culminated on Friday with a more in-depth stakeholder meeting, which the board obviously was invited to dial into, at which time the chairman did implement the county's emergency operations plan, therefore implementing the continuity of government plan, which is what we are currently functioning under as we speak. Since that time, the Office of Emergency Management has compiled and distributed over 600 kits of personal protective equipment that has gone to every law enforcement agency in the county, regardless of whether they are a county or a municipality. Those fire services that are in the county that did not have adequate personal protective equipment for their employees, we have provided that. We provided an additional 75 kits and 4 digital thermometers to the prison this morning to allow Warden Nelson and his staff to continue to do what they need to do, and then supplied some additional equipment to Riverdale Fire, Morrow Fire, and I believe one other law enforcement agency this morning. Since then, as far as communications that has gone out, we have worked with the Office of Communications through the COO's office. All digital communications have been streamlined and everything resides on the county's website. So if it's a county maintained website, the banner that's at the top of it all points to one place. Those messages are being drafted, crafted, approved by the COO, county communications, and are all going out in one place. So anywhere that a citizen visits a county website, they click on one banner, it takes them to one place. So we are all singing from the same page and the same sheet of music as we're getting that information out. As of noon today, there are 4 confirmed cases of the coronavirus in Clayton County. There was 5. They've now backed that down to 4. And we are currently working with our public health officials to identify those patients and then starting to track that internally to make sure we understand which one of our employees may have come in contact with those patients. So we will continue to work with that. Moving forward, we are continuing our containment efforts as far as our employees are concerned. Currently, right now, we're setting up a decontamination process for public safety fleet vehicles. So we can get that out going, do an initial decon of those fleet vehicles, and then set up a process where they can continue that. We ordered the chemicals, they came in today, so we will start that process first thing in the morning to get that out. Currently working with the COO to look at a decontamination plan for our facilities as well, and trying to figure out exactly what that needs to look like. And then we also finally, with the chairman's approval late yesterday afternoon, formalized an agreement with LabCorp in which that our nurses and Dr. Reddy, when the need arises, can start testing our internal employees and public safety people for the virus and get that out to LabCorp, so we're not getting bogged down at the state or with other agencies, so we don't have to rely on other resources. We can test them in our mobile clinic and expedite that process of understanding where any of our public safety folk may stand. So I'm grateful to LabCorp for expediting that. They were able to turn that application in 24 hours and we were approved this morning. So thank you, sir, for allowing us to move forth and do that. And of course, Dr. Reddy for signing off on it. So that is the 30,000-foot overview of what we've done in the last 6 days. Not to mention tracking down numerous false reports of information and people that have been alleged to have had this virus. As far as operational briefings to this board, the Office of Emergency Management will be putting those together. Every morning we meet at 8:30 to go over the events of the previous nighttime shifts to see what our supervisors have encountered. Dr. Reddy has already put in place some enhanced respiratory protection for our patients. We've expanded our medical calls that we're running that now require full levels of PPE for our patient or for our employees to make sure that we're not overlooking something, so we're being overly cautious, but that's just where we would rather be. As far as the supply level, we are utilizing the state resources that have been sent out through the Office of EMS and Trauma, as well as through Georgia Emergency Management Agency. Through the actions of the chairman with declaring a state of emergency, that now allows us to access some state resources, and then once they are cut loose from the Strategic National Stockpile, federal resources. So we've already submitted those requests. We have 7 pending orders with Boundtree Medical right now that are on back order. They will fill them when they get them. But this is to basically replenish the stock that we have pulled out of Clayton County Fire and Emergency Services warehouse to supply all of our county partners. So we've now kind of gone into a management mode to make sure that we maintain enough stock to keep providing service to the citizens. So that's as fast as I can do it, sir.
Well, you gave us a lot of good information, and I definitely appreciate the work that you have been putting into this. You know, this is something new. It's something that has definitely been taking a toll on cities and counties as a whole, our nation. But I truly think that Clayton County is doing a tremendous job
Definitely.
in the way we are prepared and the way we are. This thing is fluid. So we're jumping right along with it in some kind of form or fashion and making sure that we come up with solutions to addressing the needs of our community. You know, the COO to the CFO. And speaking of CFO, she got an important job because she got to make sure we get paid. So, yes, but everybody's been truly a team effort. But you've been leading that team and been doing a great job. So I just want to commend you on that again. Are there any other comments or anything, any other board?
Just pretty much echo what you're saying.
Commissioner.
Is that, Ferguson, you've done a fabulous job. You've gone beyond your job description, CFO, COO, as well as our chief and our directors. You all have done a job that is second to nowhere. And we truly appreciate what you have done. I know a lot of times we come down, but this time we have to publicly put you up and say thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Most definitely. I just want to piggyback on what everybody's already said. But the biggest message I hope that the public has heard is we didn't wait to get ready. The time to be ready is not the time to get ready. And so the fact that you had the foresight to be able to have a physician on staff who is an etymologist, as well as 9 nurse practitioners, it lets me rest a little bit easier as a mother that has children with asthma. And I just wanted this to come before the board so that it would be shared with the public as well as the board as a whole. I think people need to know that Clayton County is prepared, and we're going to take care of everybody. One quick question.
Yes.
Police officers, do they know what to do to decontaminate? Because I heard about firefighters, but have they been trained as well?
Yes, ma'am. So one of the things that we've done is, of course, 2 ways we're addressing that. One, with the PPE that went out, we also sent them a flyer that Dr. Reddy put together specifically for law enforcement, protective procedures for them, how to kind of keep distances when you still have to interact with the public, kind of how to handle documents passing back and forth between folk. Phase 2 of that, when we do the decontamination, one of the ways we're going to structure this is we're going to rotate every single police car, sheriff's vehicle through fire headquarters. We'll do the initial decontamination. We're putting together kits that will go back to each precinct with them. We're also going to put some down at the Sally Port at the jail. So if they transport someone, then there's chemicals there that they can decon their police cars after they transport. So this is going to be a partnership. We're all in this together until whenever it subsides or it gets back to where we can have a manageable response. But yeah, we're going to do that frontline training with them. There's some very specific ways this particular chemical gets used. If used properly, it will kill pretty much anything. If not used properly, it'll kill some trees and other stuff. So,
Well, we don't want to kill any trees. Not a question, but a comment. It was stated on the call that I know Chairman got on the call today for us to make sure that we utilize our HR department to ensure that we take care of our folks, not just physically, but mentally. I think that's important because this is something that's new. We've never dealt with it before. So I'm hoping that we are not waiting for people to call us and say they're having issues, but we're proactively going in and speaking with them. That was just a comment.
yes, ma'am. And to kind of follow up on that, to let you know another thing, outside of the clinical management of this that Dr. Reddy brings to the table, one of the things she's focusing on is the mental health component to this. So as we're interacting with our employees, she's making sure that she's properly educating them so they understand what it is we're dealing with to try and reduce the anxiety there. But also, as we identify those crews that could have potentially come in contact with someone, she's talking with them and sitting them down too and kind of helping them understand and walk that through. So one of the things that we're working on now also is kind of an employee screening tool that we can use once we get ready to reconstitute the government and bring everybody back. She's been intimately involved in that process as well. So it's, like you said, unknowingly our preparations for this began 4 years ago when the board allowed me to hire nurses, and then this budget year coming on approving Dr. Reddy to come on board. So she accuses me of conning her into this every day. But
We appreciate that.
God bless her, she hadn't run screaming yet. So we're thankful for that. But yeah, so we're hitting this. That's kind of why we get together every morning at 8:30, our team, to try and figure out what do we need to do for that particular operational period, what's popped up overnight that we need to address, and then kind of what are our important parts moving forward. So we've pretty much put everything that we were doing in the community on hold, so our nurses are focused solely on helping us mitigate and manage this, as well as Dr. Reddy. So
Thank you so
we're
much.
hitting it from every angle we can.
Thank you.
Chief, maybe I missed this, but who has the testing kits for Clayton County or in Clayton County?
Nobody right now.
Okay.
So Department of Public Health has a very limited amount in kind of some of their processes. They're kind of starting to work on those processes and how will drive-through testing centers work once we get to that point. I know they were talking about a little over 1 million getting released hopefully in the next couple days, and then some more right on the heels of that. So hopefully those start to come down and those start to filter into the county, and then kind of what that process looks like is something that we'll have to sit down with and talk obviously with the Board of Health, who will kind of be the the point on that process. The county will play a huge role in that when we get to that point. But right now, that's part of some of the issues we're having. You know, the cases are really low right now, so everybody can pretty much expect once widespread testing starts, those cases will rise. That doesn't necessarily equate to a holistic spread through the community, so much as perhaps now we're starting to readily identify it. So that's kind of where we are with that testing process. We were able to go through, like I said, with LabCorp to kind of jump that process a little bit as it relates to our public safety folk, but from a holistic community-wide testing, I think part of the issue is that test hasn't really been perfected yet. The first ones that came down had issues. So as they were being swabbed and tested, there was flaws in those tests. So I think now they're trying to get that perfected and get it out to the masses. So you want to add anything to that?
I think there's a couple of things in the works as well. Rapid testing is also being worked on. A couple of companies have gotten approval, and these are less than 6 hour turnarounds. That will also change our numbers. There's a supply chain issue with that in the sense that some have the kits out, but then the individuals and labs don't have machines to process those kits. So there's some barriers there. But to just reinstate, it is, there's going to be an influx of kits. The timing is still unknown. There's a lot of press releases. Our relationship with LabCorp is also something that hopefully we can negotiate in the coming weeks and see what the needs are of the community. But we have to, the real source and the real strength is getting it to primary care, getting it to where individuals can go to their doctor and request it, getting it into every emergency room, and we still haven't gotten that yet. So that's going to need to be the priority.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
You know that training you did with the some of the churches? Does this kind of relate to what we're going through now?
Yes, ma'am. So our praise and preparedness campaign that came out. So we reconstituted that in a haste about 2 days ago. So we went back and pulled all of our communication list out. So a lot of the flyers that have been done, we've tried to create a flyer specific to just about every type of occupancy that we can. And there was one that went out for worship, places of worship. So this falls directly into what the whole purpose of praise and preparedness. It was mainly built around natural disasters. However, it's transferable.
Yeah.
So, you know, the only deal with this one is I know nobody likes snow and ice, but I would much rather be dealing with that because I know where it is and I know when it's gone.
Yeah.
You know, as you hear people say, we're fighting an invisible enemy. So it's we can't see it, we don't know where it is or what's going on. But you know, if we stick to the simple guidance that's out there, you know, we can get through this, and you know, we're hitting it from every angle we can. But yeah, praise and preparedness, fantastic. Dig those materials out and start emailing them again because it's all applicable to what we're doing.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you again for your presentation, Chief Murkison. I'm just going to add one little update to your presentation. I got a little call a little while ago from the Health Department. We're back up to 5.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Madam Clerk, you've already read the disclaimer. Let's go ahead and call the first one.
The first item is F, BOC 1911, with CUP to allow a convenience store.
Agenda item BOC 19110030. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit for a convenience store within an existing shopping plaza, the Shops at Noah's Ark. Property is currently zoned general business. It's located at 1820 Noah's Ark. It's located at the corner of Dixon Industrial Boulevard and Noah's Ark Road. The subject property has 2.08 acres. It is located within the Highway 138 Overlay District. Staff recommendation is for approval conditional. The zoning advisory group recommendation is for denial. Staff had 2 recommended conditions should the board decide to act on this case differently. The recommendations from staff is to limit the convenience store to the 2 suites proposed so that no expansion would occur after the CUP is granted, so suites 104 and 105, and also that no outside sales or vending would be allowed on the site.
Okay, sir, are you the applicant?
I represent the applicant, Lowell Chatham, for the applicant. Good evening, Mr. Chairman. members of the
Okay,
board.
so how many minutes would you like to reserve
Let's
in
reserve
rebuttal? Two,
if
okay,
possible.
please proceed.
Have a brief, if I could hand that to the clerk, they're collated, not stapled, there's a copy for each one of them. And happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody.
I wore my green.
I see.
Members of the board, my client, he's seeking a conditional use permit. Tarvine LLC is the applicant. Mr. Gupta is here, he's a principal of the applicant. He's desiring to operate a convenience store in 2 of the shopping center suites. So the one condition that's requested is absolutely in complete agreement with that, to operate the 2 suites. He had originally, I believe the original request included gas pumps. That's been removed. No longer, he just wants the store. He also, the store's empty now, so we would have a new and ongoing business in there. They're very experienced with convenience stores and been successful with operating convenience stores. The property's already zoned general business. Once again, he's removed the request for the pumps. I believe originally there was some concerns about the operation of the pumps, and that's been removed. He has also taken the liberty to do a distance survey with regards to the distance between their door and the daycare center, and I believe that that's in compliance also. I have that survey that he has had done. Take a look at that, so that should meet that condition and that concern.
Give me all.
And he has also, I'm sorry. He has also contracted with a cleaning company to keep the outside of the premises clean and neat. That's it. And I believe he meets all the conditions, and we would request that you allow him the conditional use permit. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. If I can't, Mr. Gupta sure can.
Okay, thank you, sir. Is there anybody here who'd like to speak in favor of this request?
Mr. Chairman, can I get him to pronounce your name for me again?
Yes, ma'am. It's Lowell Chatham. I've got a card.
Lowell Chatham, all right, thank you.
Anybody like to speak in favor of this request? Anybody in favor? Anybody against this request? Anybody against? Commissioner Davis.
You know, we've met once before, excuse me, when we were discussing this property, and it was in regard to the gas pumps being there. Since then, it has come, and I've not had an idea of what was going on with it from that standpoint. That community right now is very timid on bringing anything in there right now because of what's going to come. Granted, excuse me, nothing's wrong with me, though. Nothing's wrong with me. Exactly, my water. I'll be honest. I would like to table this and somehow to begin to sit down and discuss this with you, and to get a better understanding of really what is trying to take place, but also let the community be involved as much as possible today, in today's times, with understanding this as well, so that you can have buy-in to this property and into your business.
So what he's asking, will you consent to hold it over until the next hearing meeting, which would
Correct.
be what date is?
April 21st.
Are you in agreement with that, sir?
I'm in agreement with that. Yes.
And this will just be for decision only.
I'm sorry?
It'll just be for decision only because you've had a public hearing.
Okay, correct. So we cannot have another public hearing, but I can begin to better understand really what's going in here.
So between now and then, open communication, get together, and
Correct.
Okay, so your motion is
To table
until,
the next,
which is?
April 21st.
April 21st. Anything else, Chairman?
State all that together, sir.
Okay, Commissioner Davis' motion is to hold or to table until April 21st. Is there a second? I'll second the motion. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, it's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, have a good evening.
The next item is G, which is BOC 1911-0034, CUP to allow expansion of a place of worship.
Agenda item BOC 1911-0034. The applicant, Divine Faith Ministries, is requesting a conditional use permit for the expansion of a place of worship in order that they may expand parking and to build a family life center. The property is located at 9800 Terra Boulevard, and this property is currently zoned general business and is located within the Terra Boulevard Overlay District. The total acreage of the property is 9.07 acres. Staff recommendation is for approval conditional, and the zoning advisory group recommendations is for approval conditional.
Applicant, please come forth, or representative. Please state your name and if you would like to reserve any minutes for rebuttal. Should somebody
Yes, 2 minutes.
speak against, that's fine. Thank you, sir.
My name is Bobby Bullard.
So can you speak a little louder so
My
the
name is
mic?
Bobby Bullard, and I'm with Bullard Land Planning, and we're doing the plans for Divine Faith Ministries. And what they wanted to do is build a family life center on that south east corner. And I think with the zoning approval, that recommendation, and with staff, there were a couple of things that I wanted to clarify though. And I think my Robert Sly, who works with me, he sent you guys this exhibit. I can explain it. And there was a zoning case in the past that had a buffer on the south side and on the west side. I mean, on the east side of Mundy's Mill and South Main Street on the other side of the railroad track. And there were, in the little green area right there, there was some undisturbed buffers required. Actually, the one on the east side was an undisturbed buffer. The one on the south side was a replanted buffer. And now that the overlay district is in effect, those are really no longer applicable. So we would ask that those buffers no longer be required, and we comply with the overlay district, which is to install the sidewalks, install the landscaping and landscaping strip and trees, and the decorative lights on the south side. Because of the grading, what we had here on these exhibit, it would be very difficult if we're unable to grade to put the sidewalk and the landscape strip in. And then on the east side, right there, there is a line of trees right along there. So again, it would be very difficult to put in the sidewalk with an undisturbed buffer. Also, where she has the cursor across there's a subdivision over there. And in between there is a railroad track, and the railroad track has a pretty heavily wooded strip down the middle. So the single family subdivision can't see the church anyways. And then on the south side, there's an industrial development and a Family Dollar. So I really don't see a reason for a buffer on that side. And again, both buffers will look better with the overlay requirements. And I think that was the reason for the overlay requirements, but we don't have any issue with the other conditions, the new conditions.
Okay, is that it for your presentation? Okay, does anybody here want to speak in favor of this? Anybody want to speak in favor of the request? Please come forward, sir.
Yes, good evening, Chair and fellow commissioners. My name is Willie Brown,
and I have property at 1389 in the Lakin Pass. And I would like to ask that the board approve this project. I have known this church for being active in this community for over 30 years. Over 30 years. It started out as a small church with less than 100 members, and now it has grown to well over 6, maybe even 8,000 members. And so they desperately need the additional space, and it will be a great advantage to the citizens of Clayton County. And that within that facility, they're going to have a gym, educational classrooms, a teen center, and a senior center, and I think about a 350-seat banquet hall. This would provide a lot of additional space here within the county, and to make it a great addition to some of the facilities that are already available here in the county. In addition to that, it would give our teens and young adults a place to go so they can have a enjoyable time and not be out in the community causing problems. As you know, this past week, the stock market has taken a big drop. It dropped from, I think, about 28,000 down to, it's currently around 28,000.8. And with that, there's going to come a loss in jobs. People are going to be laid off. And this project right here will be offering jobs in the community, both in the pre-construction, construction, and after construction. With the facility being open, they're going to need to have employees there to help run those classrooms, the dining facility, and the gym complex in there. And as there is no girls or boys clubs here in the county, this will be a great place for young people to come, enjoy themselves, and have a safe time. With that, I would like to end my comments.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else like to speak in favor? Please come forward.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank the board for our opportunity to speak. My name is Darrell Williams. I'm one of the elders at Divine Faith. I've been a member there for almost, I can't even count on my fingers, probably about 30 years. And I want to thank Mr. Brown for sharing also as well. I want to prolong this my time, but I just want to say that this will be a good addition to the county itself. I've been a resident off and on from Riverdale to Jonesboro to all different parts of this county. And I just think this will be a positive thing for the whole county at large, speaking on behalf of not just Bishop Battle, but the residents of Clayton County. And now that I am back here at Clayton County, I just want to thank the board for allowing me to speak, and just looking forward to a great partnership, not just with the county, but the residents outside of the county. And I think it will be positive, a good look for the city of Clayton County. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Anybody would like to speak against the request? Anyone like to speak against it? Commissioner Davis.
What, can you read the conditions again?
Yes, let me address the conditions. There are 6 conditions. The first condition says the proposed site must maintain existing landscaping along the property frontage. A 20-foot planted buffer be provided on the south and along the existing church property line, and a natural buffer be preserved along the eastern property line. The fourth condition, the architectural design of the building and development shall meet the Terra Boulevard Overlay District standards unless varied by the Clayton County Board of Zoning Appeals. Condition number 5 states that the 3 parcels that are now separate be combined into one parcel. Condition number 6 states that it must adhere to all county codes and regulations pertaining to the site development unless relief is granted by the BZA. I'd like to address briefly the conditions 1, 2, and 3, which address the landscaping and the buffer along the property's perimeter along the roadway. Those conditions were brought forward from the original CUP, so they were really a matter of policy based on the original request, and it was approved by the board with those buffer requirements there. However, in the planning commission sort of made recommendations to maintain those buffers and try to meet the overlay district standards. What is the outcome of this is that when the property was first approved for a CUP, there was no Terra Boulevard overlay. There were no established landscaping standards along the streets and the right-of-ways. So since there are now standards that address landscaping and sidewalks in the street appeal, the staff's opinion that those conditions are no longer needed in the day's environment, but we brought them forth as a matter of history because they were policy on the first CUP. So it's the board's desire.
So, but we will have those sidewalks.
We will have sidewalks.
Great.
The
And
sidewalks are required
those are still the
along,
8 foot
on
wide.
both frontages, Monday Mill and along Terra Boulevard. And along with sidewalks, they're required to plant street trees to, to create
Great.
a more aesthetic street frontage.
Great. And that's what we want to make sure that we've been consistent in basically asking folks to put 8 foot wide sidewalks throughout the projects that are taking place in Clayton County.
Right. So if this board's desire, conditions 1, 2, and 3 would allow them to comply with the overlay district and meet those standards for landscaping and sidewalks, if we remove the first 3 conditions.
Are you in agreement with that, sir? If
Yeah,
so, come
we
forward.
removed the first 3, yeah.
Great.
Okay, Commissioner.
So I move that we approve this with the conditions read minus, is it 1, 2, and 3?
That's correct.
And 8 foot wide sidewalks throughout the project.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions?
Not a question, but a statement. I think we need to take a look at the timing of the sidewalks because the 1941 project is going to supersede any development. So, and the reason I'm bringing that up is because oftentimes we do approve something and then that's an issue later because it's put in as a condition. I think that the sidewalks just need to lay within the overlay district as opposed to adding it in as a separate condition because the timing of it may be problematic for them to move forward. And that's just only from experience. This is not technically in the district, although Bishop Battle really thinks it is, but it's okay because he's amazing. The congregation's amazing, but it's just a technical note.
That's a good
That's a
point.
good point.
The engineer who worked on the project was working closely with the new design of the Terra Boulevard improvements, and I will state that there were challenges on getting the sidewalk in and extended with the standard is 6 feet, and I think they have some challenges even making that. So, at the board's desire, they could either comply with the overlay district requirements and the road improvements as they lay out.
So my final question, does that require any legal action by the board to make sure that we augment that? That's the reason I'm asking, because this has come up in other places.
If one of the conditions is not relating to sidewalks that's there, so you can just remove that, and that way when it's built, then if it's alongside the Terra Boulevard overlay, then it would just align with that, and you wouldn't have to put in an 8 foot or 6 foot, but spell that out within the conditions.
But more so the question was 1941, because the certificate of occupancy, if they're not done within a time frame, it may cause issues. And then you got to bring it back before the board if we have to augment basically the overlay or anything. Is that correct?
Right.
no?
Like I said, the engineers has worked with those new designs to make sure that what they were planning fit with those new designs. So the 6 foot sidewalk, which is standard, I think they're able to accomplish that. If we
Okay.
required anything greater and we ran into problems, we would delay them, because we'd have to come back to the board to adjust it.
That's the point.
So, so I understand from Commissioner Davis, the policy for District 4 and pretty much throughout the county, whenever we can get wider sidewalks, the goal is to get 8 foot sidewalks, and that's what we have been doing conditionally. But there are circumstances sometimes when it can't be accomplished because of not enough right-of-way available.
So within the overlay, it gives a latitude 6 or 8, whatever's gonna fit within that footwork.
That's correct.
And that's contingent upon 1941's plans. Okay, got it.
You had something, sir?
Yeah.
Please walk up to the mic.
Those plans that we just put on our drawings today is in the believe they're installing them now.
Okay.
There's another person in my office who's mostly been working on this, but he's health compromised, so he didn't want to go out. But if I understood, they were putting the sidewalk in now, and it's only 5 feet.
Oh, got it.
So,
Got it.
so
Any other questions?
Oh,
Commissioner?
I hear 5 feet, I hear 6, and I hear 8.
6 is a standard, but since it's a state highway, a lot of oftentimes they will negotiate with whatever the state, you know, the T&D will work with the state on the sidewalk standards, but the basic county standard is 6 feet.
Okay, so I just heard 5.
Because of the widening.
No. Terra Boulevard widening project.
Okay, I just want.
All right, any other questions?
If you, right now, as you have made the motion, it's to include 8-foot sidewalks.
Right.
You may want
That's what I was
to,
asking.
to revise
Amend
your
your
motion.
Correct.
I guess my question is now, if these sidewalks are already being put in, why are we speaking about conditions now?
The sidewalks are being put in as part of a state project. When they went in to design their improvements, they had to design their improvements
Okay.
with the sidewalks as the state required them, and they're still gonna put in all the landscaping that the overlay district requires. So again, as they were laying out the plans, they were keeping in consideration what the state requirements are in terms of what's out there now. I didn't know whether it was 5 or 6. I know 6 is our standard, but again, by this being a state right of way, the state gets to dictate their own
And
standards.
the sidewalks were being put in regardless of this project.
Right, the sidewalks
because
will be put in
Okay.
regardless
Divine
of the
Faith
project.
already exists there.
Exactly.
Okay, so there's nothing we can do. On the 1941 side, it would be just, excuse me, the other corridor down the road.
On Monday Mill,
To make it clean,
And-
I'm sorry, I apologize.
And then we've got to be somewhat consistent with 1941 then. Is that correct?
well, on Monday, what sidewalk what's the width that's planned on Monday Mill? Do you know the sidewalk width is?
we were gonna go with the overlay requirements, which is 8, right?
Okay.
Well, no, the overlay requirement will be 6.
6.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So he needs to amend
So
his
we
motion.
need to amend the
5
motion
feet.
to approve minus conditions 1, 2, and 3, but still going with the overlay requirements set forth and the state requirements of the 5 feet of sidewalk already being put in.
Correct.
Second. I'll second the
That's
motion.
second.
Any other questions? I'll second the motion.
No problem.
All right, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, it's unanimous. Thank you, sir.
The next item is item H, BOC 20010038, to allow a new billboard to replace an existing.
Agenda item BOC 20010038 is a request to locate a billboard at the intersection of, 1 second, apologize there. Sorry, my description is not right. I apologize, the description was a little off on the agenda. The request again for BOC 20010038, the applicant Cape Town Partners on behalf of the Forest Bulldog LLC is requesting a conditional use permit for a new billboard. The new billboard will replace an existing wood billboard located near the intersection of Highway 41 and Highway 1941 at the Fork. The subject property is 0.52 acres. It's located within the Old District Highway Overlay District. And the subject parcel ID number is identified on the plat. Again, this is just a replacement of an existing billboard. Staff recommendations are for approval conditional, and the zoning advisory group recommendation is for approval conditional.
All right, is there anybody here want to speak? Where you finish, Ms. Pam? Were you finished?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Anybody who'd like to speak in favor of this? Yeah, let's get some clarification on that. Is it 1941 and 138?
Yes, no, 19, it's at the intersection of Highway 41 and Highway 1941.
Highway 19?
Oh.
Nineteen.
Yeah, show you on the map. You can see this. This is this billboard here. I don't know if you got any familiarity with that location.
It
Yes,
says
1941.
Is this our request?
It's right at the fork when you come off of 75.
No, right at Old Dixie.
It says 138, and
Is this District 4?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
this
Okay,
document.
is this our request here? I can't hear you.
Which, I beg your pardon, what was the question again?
Is this the board request?
No, this is a request by the applicant who owns the property to put a new billboard at that location.
Okay, is the applicant
Yeah,
here?
Yeah, I don't know why we don't have representation.
Okay, how would you like to proceed, Commissioner Davis?
The applicant's not here, and there's questions amongst the board. I move that we table this.
All right, let's just
Go ahead.
You can table it to the 21st, and it'll just be for full, well, is there enough time to get re-advertised for a public hearing in that short period of time?
April 21st. Yes, yeah, it can be advertised. We just need 15 days.
All right, Commissioner, what's your motion?
To table till the 21st of
what?
next month.
Of April?
Yes.
All right, there's a motion on the table to table till April 21st. Is there a second?
Second.
Probably moving second. Any other questions? Hearing none. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Next item is BOC 2001-39 to allow convenience store, CUP for convenience store.
Agenda item BOC 2001-0039, the applicant Azia Samani, on the behalf of RJSV Investments, is requesting a conditional use permit for a convenience store within an existing shopping plaza located at 974 Highway 138. The subject parcel is identified on your agenda. The property is 0.81 acres in size, is zoned general business. The shopping plaza has 291 feet of frontage along Highway 138 and 104 feet of road frontage along Tower Road. It's a corner lot. It's located in District 4. Staff recommendation is for approval conditional, and and zoning advisory group recommendation is for approval conditional.
All right, is the applicant here? Is the applicant present? Commissioner Davis.
You know, and I'm going to publicly state this, I have a real issue with someone that wants to come into our county, create a business, but does not have the common courtesy to show up at our board meeting to discuss their project. For that, I move to deny.
Let me just say this. I don't know who the applicant is, but we have put out that the county is closed.
I was gonna say that.
So it could have been some confusion.
Okay, so we take that into consideration.
I
So
think
then I move that we table this until the 21st of April.
I second.
Properly moved and second. Any other questions or statements? Hearing none. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Next.
The next item is item J, map 2002-001, rezone RES-180 to WH.
Basically, this is just a cleanup, right, Ms. Span? This is just a cleanup.
I beg your pardon?
This is just a cleanup item?
To some extent, yes. This is a text amendment for a special event facility. If you recall on your hearing in November, we had a request for a special event facility.
No. This is
warehouse.
this is
zone.
a warehouse
Oh.
from the residential to Old
And
Jones
yes, to answer
property.
your question,
Oh,
Commissioner,
yeah,
it is.
absolutely.
It is.
That property is located behind the FedEx, the new FedEx at the corner. of Anvil Block. And in Boulder Crest, this little corner piece here, this property was on warehouse in June of last year.
And we left that out.
And this little corner
the
piece was
previous
left
time.
out. So this rezoning here is to rezone this from residential RS 180 to warehouse.
Right.
In order, so that the zoning would be consistent, because it's all in consistent use right now, under the FedEx property.
That's correct. All right, so this is a board-initiated request or petition, so is there anybody here who'd like to speak in favor of the request? Anyone like to speak in favor of it? Anybody like to speak against it? Anybody like to speak against this request? All right, hearing none,
Motion to approve?
I'll second the motion. Any questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
That ends the agenda.
Mr. Reed?
There's no executive session.
No executive session. All right, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn at this time.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
I'll second the motion. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Everybody be safe.
Yes.
God bless.